You walk into a Tokyo office at 6 in the evening. White blouse buttoned to the throat, eyes locked on the monitor, a bow to the boss at exactly 15 degrees. Not one word more than the work requires. The perfect employee. 3 hours later, that same woman is in an izakaya with her hair down, a beer in her fist, laughing loud enough to carry 2 tables over. And nothing about tonight will follow her to work tomorrow. They'll both show up, bow, and pretend none of it happened. The guidebooks won't tell you this, and it isn't an accident, and it isn't her losing control. It's a mechanism built into Japanese culture, with an actual name. Learn how it works, and you'll never look at this nation of polite, sealed shut, unreadable people the same way again. 2 words, tatemae and honne. You cannot understand Japan without them. Tatemae is the face you show the world, what you're supposed to say, how you're supposed to act. Honne is what you actually think underneath. And here's the twist. Japanese culture doesn't read the gap between them as lying. The opposite. It's courtesy. It's protecting the mood of the room. It's the discipline to not dump your raw self onto people who didn't ask for it. A Japanese woman at work is pure tatemae, composed, even-toned, emotions set to 0. But the honne doesn't vanish. It just needs somewhere to exhale. And that somewhere has an address. It's called nomikai, literally a drinking gathering. Co-workers out after hours, usually at an izakaya, a Japanese pub where the beer, the sake, and the hot little plates never stop. Sounds like an
office happy hour. It isn't, because something gets switched off at that table that stays on everywhere else, the hierarchy. And there's a word for it, bureikō, dropping the manners, forgetting rank. Here's the part outsiders get wrong though. Bureikō isn't automatic, and it isn't a free pass. Someone has to actually declare it. The boss says, tonight, no ranks, we're equals. And even then, the locals will warn you, it's half a trap. You can loosen your tie, crack a joke, push back a little, but complain too honestly, treat the boss like a real friend, and you'll feel it on Monday. So it's a strange, carefully calibrated thing. The hierarchy doesn't disappear, it loosens, just enough. Enough that a subordinate can say what the office would never allow. And the magic phrase that cleans it all up afterward? I was drunk. What's said over a glass somehow doesn't count. By morning, it can simply stay where it was poured. Now, here's what you don't catch at first. For a Japanese woman, all of this weighs far more than it does for a man. Think about it. Society hands her a double bill of politeness. Be softer, be quieter, keep your voice under everyone else's. At work, she often serves the male side of the room with a smile and a bow, even when her rank says she's their equal. And then the evening comes, the izakaya. The bureikō is declared. And for the first time all day, this same woman gets to be loud, gets to disagree, gets to drink as an equal and crack the kind of joke that makes the men at the table look away. It's not a second personality. It's the same person, finally allowed.
To show the half of her that daylight never lets out, there's a small ritual that makes it click. In an izakaya, you almost never pour your own drink. You fill your neighbor's glass, they fill yours. And in that tiny back and forth, a closeness forms that the daytime made impossible. The woman who that morning wouldn't dare speak to the department head first is, by evening, topping off his beer and mentioning, lightly, that his big idea was kinda weak. And it lands fine. That's nomikai. But don't picture it all warm and golden. There's a side the glossy travel videos skip. For years, nomikai was effectively mandatory. Skip the night out and you're not a team player. Your career quietly stalls. You slide off the list of us. And for a woman, the pressure runs double. She has to go, to belong. But those same nights, everyone drunk, nothing counts, are exactly where the ground turns fertile for harassment. There's a word for that too, sekuhara, lifted straight from the English sexual harassment. And a real share of those stories trace right back to the half-dark of corporate drinking nights, where bureikō slips over a line it was never meant to cross. So the tiny little headline, demure by day, wild by night,
is only half true. The culture hands a woman a voice at night she's denied by day, but the same mechanism is what exposes her. And the younger generation, they're done. There's a word for the problem now: aruhara, alcohol harassment, the pressure to drink. More and more young workers, women and men alike, are just refusing the obligatory nomikai. Companies are rewriting
the rules under that pressure. What was a sacred bonding ritual for their parents is, to a 25-year-old in Tokyo, a relic she won't waste an evening on. And it isn't only the young. Across the board, most workers now say the whole drinking to bond thing has had its day. And here's where it turns. Because the honne doesn't die when the nomikai fades. It just hunts for new exits. And it finds them. You know where that evening freedom went? Somewhere men don't get a key. Start with joshikai, a girls' gathering, a women-only table. Just women. No men, no rank, no obligation to pour for anyone or smile at anyone. That's where the real honne runs free. Husbands, mothers-in-law, bosses, what they actually want out of life. It's an industry now. Restaurants build dedicated women's courses, joshikai plans, dessert and sparkling wine included. And then there's the sharper one, hosuto kurabu, host clubs, rooms where beautiful, polished young men, for money, attend to women, pour their drinks, hang on their words, pile on the compliments, build an entire illusion of adoration. Whole districts, like Kabukichō in Tokyo, run on it. And the women walking in aren't only the night shift workers everyone pictures, they're office workers, they're housewives, women who get not a drop of the attention they're starved for at home and at work. A woman ordered all day to be agreeable and quiet steps into the one room where, for the first time in ages, someone catches her every word. So much for the quiet Japanese girl. Hit like if none of this was on your radar. It's how the story reaches more. Now, stack it all together, and the real picture shows up. Japanese reserve isn't coldness, and it isn't an empty room inside. It's a tight lid on a pot, carrying exactly as much feeling and want as anyone else alive. The culture just spent centuries building the plumbing for it, a precise set of release valves. The izakaya, where you let off a little pressure. The girls' table, where you say what you can't say at home. The host club, where you collect what's missing. Tatemae and honne were never mask and face. They're two equal halves of one person, each handed its own assigned room and hour. And there's an honesty in that worth borrowing. The Japanese woman isn't faking anything. She just knows the address for each part of herself. The loud laugh goes to the izakaya. The tears go to a pillow or a friend. The flawless courtesy stays at the desk. That isn't hypocrisy. It's respect for the people around her and for herself. There are dozens of countries ahead, and every one keeps a hidden half of life the guidebooks leave out. Subscribe, and next time I'll take you somewhere women, by old tradition, openly held the family purse and chose their own husbands instead of the other way around. And no, not in Europe. For now, tell me in the comments, does your culture have its own nomikai? A place where the masks finally drop and you can say what daylight forbids? Or are you expected to be the same person everywhere, all the time? I want to know where on the world map the line falls between what a person shows and what they bury. Drop it below. Let's work it out together.